We bring you the news of the day. Carly Van Cleve talked with a scientist who has studied pandemics for nearly 2 decades. He says more restrictions are good, but a lockdown would be better. Carly?
Brian Dixon says since the pandemic began, his department has been analyzing data related to the COVID-19 crisis. He says this current wave was bound to happen, and the only way to stop it quickly is with another kind of lockdown.
I'm hoping they don't have another lockdown. I really do.
I don't think we should go on lockdown again. I'd prefer not to anyway.
Some people in Fort Wayne saying we should not enter another lockdown and only enforce tighter restrictions.
Will always be potentially, a next step or more precautions.
But IUPUI School of Public Health professor and director of the Regan Street Institute, Brian Dixon, says it may be necessary.
I'm very worried that we're kind of reaching that point where we are going to have to make some tough decisions.
Dixon says he has been researching pandemics like this one for almost 20 years.
We've actually seen historically in past pandemics that there's a second wave.
A second wave of COVID-19 that he says began in September and could last until the start of the year.
One might look at it as inevitable. However, there probably were ways that we could have prevented it.
And he says even without a lockdown, there should be more restrictions.
As much as people don't want to lock anything down, we have to face the reality that the virus is putting a lot of pressure on our economy, on our healthcare system, on, people's just sort of mental health. And we really need to get it under control.
And the fastest way for that to happen, he says, stay home.
We just sort of voluntarily stayed home with our families for 2 weeks. I think that would make a huge difference.
Governor Eric Holcomb says another lockdown won't be happening in Indiana, and it's up to Hoosiers to keep themselves and others safe.
Everybody does their own part. I think we should be good to go.
Just wearing masks and being careful in general.
We can just follow the rules and follow the guidelines, then hopefully we can get through this.
Dixon tells me he thinks the peak of this current wave will take place sometime next month. And if Hoosiers stayed home for just 2 weeks, it would reduce our number of new cases dramatically and help flatten that curve.